In today's video, I'm going to share how to make some stunning, crafty DIY Christmas decor that will add a cozy personal touch to your holiday celebrations. Welcome to the most festive corner of the internet, where ribbon meets glue gun and pine cones become masterpieces. In today's DIY Christmas video, I'm going to be showing you how to transform your holiday and Christmas decor from plain and boring to merry and bright, with projects that are easy and simple but elevate your home decor with that special touch that comes from crafting your Christmas decorations. So go grab your glue gun and get ready to have some fun crafting with me in these Christmas DIYs today. You can see I have already jumped right on in here and started this first homemade crafty DIY Christmas decoration. We are making some dried orange slices. I always love to encourage y'all to try something new and different, and that's what I'm doing here with this first DIY. I have never made dried orange slices. After you have sliced your orange into as even of slices as you can get, you could even use a mandolin for this. You want to use a paper towel to pat them dry, get as much of that orange juice off of them as you can before you get them ready to go into a 200-degree oven. After you have dried the orange slices off, you will want to lay them in a single layer, not touching, on a cookie sheet with a wire rack. I also put parchment paper under my wire rack to catch any juice that might leak out and bake onto my cookie sheet. This just makes it easy for cleanup. Your orange slices will go in the 200-degree Fahrenheit oven for 1 hour. After the first hour, you will want to flip your oranges over, again making sure that they are not touching. Put them back in the oven for an additional hour. You are going to repeat this process every hour for 4 hours. After you have finished that 4th hour, then pull off any of the oranges that are done and ready. Keep baking the other orange slices at 15-minute increments, checking on them, making sure they're not burning and getting overdone, pulling off the ones that are ready as you go along until they are all completely finished, baked, and dried. If properly dried, your orange slices will last the entire holiday season. Make sure that there is no moisture left in them or they will start to mold. Your orange slices are going to be the perfect, unique touch to your Christmas decorations. You can use them as embellishments, ornaments, garland. You can add them to a gift tag on your packages. Get creative. There are so many ways you can use these dried orange slices. Christmas DIY decoration is not only going to be pretty, but it is going to make your house smell amazing. Pomander balls date back to medieval times and not even necessarily to Christmas. They were used as perfume and helped to mask the odorous smells that were prevalent during that time. It was during the mid-1800s that pomander balls became popular as a Christmas decoration in American homes. These are so simple and easy. You can make these with your kids. It is a fun afternoon project and it requires minimal ingredients here to make this. I'm using little cuties because that's what I had on hand here. You can use navel oranges as well. You take whole cloves and you just make whatever design you want onto your orange. You just push the whole clove down through the orange peel and that is going to release the fragrance of the citrus orange and the clove mixed together. You can also do this with lemons, and you can put as many or as few of these cloves here as you want. Get creative and use your imagination. These pomander balls are a wonderful addition to any style of Christmas decor, whether it's modern, traditional, vintage. You will not be disappointed if you make these pomander balls. This third DIY is going to be a unique and one-of-a-kind nail polish dipped ornament. You will need clear glass or plastic ornaments and nail polish. I got mine from Dollar Tree. You will also need a disposable bucket or a bucket that you don't use for anything but crafting. It needs to be deep enough that your ornament can completely submerge down into the water, which needs to be room temperature. This tends to get a little messy, so if you have a nice manicure, you probably want to protect that with gloves and have plenty of paper towels, cotton balls, and potentially toothpicks on hand to complete this easy Christmas DIY. I also rigged up this little dowel rod here on my wreath stand to hold my ornaments as it dries. And I highly suggest either an ornament hook or some kind of tie like I've done here on your ornament so that you can hang it to dry. Off camera, I have shaken all of my nail colors so that they're well blended. You are going to want to work moderately fast. I'll show you this first nail polish Christmas ornament in real time, and then I will speed them up. This is the first time I'm making these, so this first one is a learning process right along with you. You want to be very gentle and careful when you drizzle your nail polish out onto the surface of the water, and you want to make sure it stays on the surface and doesn't fall down towards the bottom. And again, it is very important that your water is room temperature. You do not want it to be cold and you don't want it to be too hot. You can combine as many nail polish colors as you want. You could do them all one color. You can make different designs on here. I'm just kind of doing mine random. You can use a toothpick to swirl your colors also. Once you have all of your nail polish on the surface of the water, then you dip your ornament down into that nail polish. And like I said, this first one is a learning curve, and I discovered I needed to put more nail polish onto the surface in order to cover the ball. Technically, I don't think you are supposed to double dip, but I did anyway and ended up being able to cover some of the bare spots on my ornament. Before you proceed to making your second ornament or those thereafter, you can use a cotton ball to lightly skim the top of the surface of your water, and it will collect up all of that nail polish residue, and you can dispose of it and start all over. Now that we have the trial and error over with here on the first ornament, I am going to speed things up a little bit and let you see the process again in case you missed something. Please don't hesitate to ask me any questions that you might have. I am more than happy to try and answer them for you. And let me know, have you ever made these nail polish dipped ornaments? I'm thinking if you could maybe dip other things. I think they would have to be plastic, but if you could find some little plastic reindeer or nutcrackers, you could do that. Again, the sky's the limit and your imagination is your only limitation. You can see how handy my makeshift ornament holder was. These need to cure overnight so that they are nice and dry. So you definitely need somewhere that you can hang your ornaments undisturbed so that they don't get messed up as they are curing. I'll show you one more ornament. Am I the only one that finds this very satisfying to watch back in 2.5 times speed? It was so fun to make these nail polish dipped ornaments. I have to say it was probably my favorite craft from today's Christmas DIY video. This is very easy to do this, but it is definitely a process that you get better with over time. I know that I got more familiar with how much nail polish to distribute onto the surface of my water, and then the dipping technique got better the more ornaments that I did. So give it a try. Maybe you have some old nail polish colors in your cabinet that you no longer use. This is a great way to practice and experiment on a new DIY Christmas craft. When my ornaments were completely dry, I added a pretty velvet ribbon. You could even get your kids involved and they could make special ornaments to give as gifts this Christmas. In January, I found this fruit swag at Goodwill and shared how I did a DIY on it to look like this inspired gold fruit that was very popular at the time with decorators. So this summer, when I found these little bundles of pomegranates at a garage sale for $2, I snagged them because I knew I could turn them into McGee Co dupes. So that is what we are going to do for our next crafty Christmas DIY. You can find a very similar pomegranate at Hobby Lobby, and then they had some fruit bowl filler at Kirkland's, so you can absolutely still recreate this look. I have cleaned off the garage sale stems and am cutting them off of the leafy bundle. For the ease of having something to hold on to while I paint, I left the long wire stem sticking out. I will cut that off later. My craft paint is from Hobby Lobby. It is a metallic gold. I need to give these pomegranates 2 coats of this paint to cover up that creamy white color and tone down some of the crackling that was naturally already on there in the paint finish originally. So I'm going to do that, give it 2 coats of paint, and then we're going to come back in and give it a vintage distressed look that mimics that McGee Co inspiration piece. Finished up that last coat of paint, let it dry completely, and now we're ready to add some gold leaf rub and buff to it. Taking a small amount on my finger, I'm going to just gently rub it back and forth over the surface of my pomegranate, and I don't care if it's completely covered. It was fine with me if some of that lighter gold paint shows through. That's going to give it a dimension to the fruit here, but it's as simple as this. You just rub it back and forth, get it up into the top stem there of your pomegranate, and work your way through all of your fruit here and let it dry completely before we add the ebony antiquing onto it. With the gold leaf dry, it's now time to use the ebony rub and buff. This I am using very little of, just barely dabbing some onto my finger and then going around the edges of the top here. I'm going to dab on that ebony rub and buff. I'm then going to lightly rub some down the side of the pomegranate. Do not worry if you get too much of the black on there. You just go back in with a little bit of the gold leaf and tone that down. and back and forth until you get the striations there of that antiquing from the ebony rub and buff. If you've never used these products, then you definitely want to wear gloves. This is not water soluble, meaning you need paint thinner to clean up with it. So you have to be conscious of that as you're working with it, and protect your surfaces and your paint brushes and all of that. You can see here where I'm going back with that gold leaf to tone down a couple of spots that I got a little bit too much ebony on. And it's very forgiving. You can do this before it is completely dry, that way that the two colors blend in together and you do not lose the striation that ebony paint is creating, but then you're also not blotchy and overdoing it with the dark black. And you can see here how that turned out after they're all dry. You have that beautiful golden color shining through underneath, but then you have the ebony accents on it. It makes it look like it is real metal and not just a floral pick. Now that they're dry, we can also cut off that wire stem and they are ready to decorate with. I think these are going to be a classic beauty, not just this Christmas season, but for many to come. I can see so many different ways to style with this. You could put it on a stack of books, in a bowl. You could even attach hooks and hang them like ornaments on your Christmas tree. For this crafty Christmas DIY, we are going to use a variety of yarn here to cover these wooden stars from Hobby Lobby. We're making some beautiful homemade ornaments. These would also be great for gift tags, or you could string a bunch together on a pretty ribbon or twine and make you a garland for your mantle. In addition to the yarn and wooden stars, I'm going to be using some floral wire, wire cutters, needle nose pliers, and hot glue to complete this project. You could always cut your own star shapes out of cardboard, but for $1.25 at Hobby Lobby for 4 of these wooden star ornaments, I knew that my time and my star making skills were better spent here on these pre-purchased ones. They came with these twine hooks already attached, but I wanted to make my own florist wire hook that was more hidden down into the ornament so that I could tie it with a pretty satin ribbon. So I'm going to remove all of those twine hooks and then cut a little bit of florist wire, wrap it around my finger, making a loop, and then twisting it together. After I have 4 of these made, I'm going to attach them with a little bit of hot glue, making sure that they are secured to my wooden ornament. Since you are going to be wrapping these with yarn, you will not see how this is attached. It will be completely covered and seamless. Have all 4 of my loops glued down and in place, so now we can attach the yarn with a little bit of hot glue and then start wrapping our star. I'm starting here with this brown yarn. It has an old-fashioned vintage feel to it. It's brown but has speckles of off-white in it. I think it is going to make a really nice ornament. You just wrap the yarn so that it lays side by side across the star, starting at one V, going down to the other, working your way out to the point. I feel like this is easiest just for me to show you. It's so hard to describe. Once you get to the end of the points, then you're going to cross over and go from another V all the way up to another point. and you're just going to work your way around your star until all of it is covered. So it's going to end up quite thick when you are done because you're layering that yarn on top of each other. I didn't feel the need to put any extra glue on my yarn. It held in place just from the tightness that I was wrapping it. But if you feel like your yarn is slipping, you could definitely tack it down with a little bit of hot glue. I'm going to speed things up for you here so you can see how I complete this. If you have any questions at all, let me know. I'm happy to answer them for you in the comments. I think you could probably wrap this so many different ways and create different patterns as well. This is just the way I chose to do it. I think this is a project you could definitely do with your kids. I think you could do this as a school project or with your grandkids. So many things I'm sharing here today are simple enough that you could include your entire family in the fun for Christmas DIYs. Sitting here fighting with the yarn made me hot, so you'll see I took off my sweatshirt here in just a second. I'm sure all of my crocheting gurus out there would have the perfect solution for this, but that is not in my wheelhouse to crochet, and I don't really do a lot with yarn. So this little project, I didn't feel the need to look it up and learn how to re-spool this yarn. So you will see me suffer through fighting here with my yarn. When you get towards the end where you have wrapped the entire star, I made several individual wraps from V to V all the way around the star, and then I tied off that loose end with some of those individual strands, made sure it was nice and secure, and then I cut that long tail off, tucking in just a little bit underneath all of the other yarn. Some of the points had a little bit of the wood still showing through. This might be a good place where you could tack down the yarn with some of the hot glue, but I just gently spread that yarn out and was able to cover it up over the tip without much of a problem. Now, I'm not going to bore you by making you sit here and watch me wrap the white and red yarn around the stars, but I do want to show you the last star that I made just briefly here to give you an idea and some inspiration. I used the brown and the white yarn together, double wrapping it so that I had that blended star. I think it turned out really cute, and I love that you could use this technique to coordinate your stars. Now, I made a variety here that don't necessarily go together per se, but I did want to show you how different yarns looked when wrapped here on these wooden ornaments. I took some coordinating satin ribbon and just tied it on, making little loops so that I can hang these on my tree. Again, you could use these for gift tags. You could make it a garland if you alternated colors or made different ones. The options are limitless, and your creativity is your guide. I hope you will give these yarn wrapped star ornaments a try. They were a lot of fun. I sat and watched a Hallmark Christmas movie while I wrapped the yarn, so I was multitasking and having a good day just crafting. There is going to be a lot of beauty in this very easy Christmas DIY craft. You will need some mini pine cones, and you can either use a satin ribbon of your choice, or you could even use this twine rope, and you will need a hot glue gun. If you are lucky enough to live in an area where you could collect pine cones, that would be fabulous. I don't have that luxury where I live. I'll be using this face filler that I got several years ago from Hobby Lobby. I'm going to opt to use the satin ribbon instead of twine. It will coordinate better with my Christmas decor. We're making a garland, so you want to be able to attach it to a hook. You will want to tie a loop on each end. This is just going to make it easy to attach your pine cone garland. If you like to be precise, then you can absolutely measure out your pine cones, but I am just going to freehand this. Lay out your ribbon or string where it's right side up, and then doing a couple at a time, just drop a little pea-size amount of hot glue onto your ribbon. Pick out pine cones that are all about the same size. Attach the pine cone. It is that simple, but I promise you it is going to be so pretty when we're done. You can make your pine cone garland as long as you would like. That is the beauty about a custom DIY. You can tailor it to your needs. I think you could also use this same method to attach jingle bells. You would just tie them onto the string or the ribbon, those little tiny jingle bells. You can't buy something like that at the store, but you could absolutely make it. This would be good on your Christmas tree, on garland, over a mirror, over a doorway. There are just so many ideas that are going through my head. Let me know what you think about this simple Christmas DIY. When you get to the end of your pine cone garland, you'll tie another loop in it so that you can hang it on a hook. And there you have this beautiful, easy DIY Christmas pine cone garland. We are going to make some pine cone ornaments. Again, if you can collect pine cones from your yard or on a nature walk, that is the absolute best thing to do. Otherwise, you can pick these up in stores, and a lot of times you can get scented pine cones that will help to make your house smell wonderful at Christmas. I have my pine cones, and then I have this 2-inch ribbon, and then a really small ribbon that I will be using for the hanger. These are all satin ribbons. I am going to make a loop, cutting that and tying a knot in the end of it. This is going to be the hanger for my pine cone Christmas ornament. Once I have enough of those made, then I'm going to get the hot glue. I'm going to fill this little divot at the top of the pine cone with hot glue, and then I'm going to place the hanger down in there. I'm going to use a toothpick to press it down into the glue, and then I'm going to add some more glue on top just to make sure it's nice and strong and secure. Once you have all of your ribbon loops glued into your pine cones, make sure that they are dry. While they are drying, we're going to move on to making our bows with our wide ribbon. I'm just going to make a simple bunny ear bow. This is very slippery ribbon. I ordered it off of Amazon. It is great quality. I will link it down in the description in case you're interested in it. It is going to be really good for wrapping gifts. After struggling, I got all of my bows made, and they'll be ready to attach to our pine cone Christmas ornaments. It can't get any easier than this. You will put a bunch of hot glue down on the top of your pine cone and then press your bow down into that hot glue. I did realize after doing this first one, I should have cut those tail ends of my loop off before I glued my bow on, so I suggest you do that. As we wrap up here, I've covered a variety of DIY Christmas decoration ideas that are both easy and cost-effective, perfect for a magical Christmas this year. By using upcycled materials, natural elements, and simple craft supplies, you can create decorations that are truly unique, one of a kind, and reflect your personal style. If you enjoyed these ideas, be sure to leave a comment below sharing your favorite Christmas decoration, and don't forget to check out my next video for more holiday inspiration. I cannot wait to see you here again, and until then, have a wonderful and blessed day.